Philadelphia is famous for its history. Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell, you name it. But beyond the icons, this city hides some incredible surprises. So today we're going off the beaten path to explore Philly's hidden gems, from riverside retreats to larger-than-life art and even a touch of eerie history.
The Ben Franklin Bridge. And here we are at the Street Pier. Lovely place for joggers, walkers, to enjoy the scenery. Elevated platform up here with seats and steps right down below. Right across the way we come across Street Pier, which is an artistic space inside. Lively nightlife in the evening. I think we might check that out a little bit later on. But the waterfront here, Philadelphia, it's quite pretty.
Once a municipal shipping pier, Street Pier has been reimagined as a creative hub where art meets community. The shipping containers you see now serve as open artist studios, giving local creators a space to work, exhibit, and connect with visitors. Throughout the year, the pier hosts rotating artists in residence, pop-up markets, and exhibitions that keep this historic space alive and evolving.
Artist studios and artists in residence inside these containers. And the artists work on their art.
Now, our visit happened to be right before closing time, so while the bar, booths, and pop-up shops were winding down, we got a rare chance to see the pier without the usual crowds. Normally buzzing with events and foot traffic, it was actually pretty special to experience this creative space in such a peaceful, reflective moment. Of course, creative spaces like Street Pier are just one part of Philly's larger public art story. Across the city, more than 3,000 murals transform buildings into canvases, making Philadelphia the mural capital of the U.S. It's a vibrant, living gallery that stretches through every neighborhood. But there's one place where public art isn't just painted on the walls, it becomes the walls. A place where tiles, mirrors, and found objects turn an ordinary city lot into an immersive walk-through mosaic. This is Philadelphia's Magic Gardens.
Use mosaics just all over the buildings. The stunning artwork. Philadelphia may be the city of murals, with murals all over. But mosaic artwork is really, really cool. Now we're going to check out Philadelphia's Magic Gardens, a brainchild of artist Isaiah Zagar, born in 1939. He created Philadelphia's Magic Gardens. He actually started working on the vacant lots located near his studio in 1991, his studio down on South Street. So he mosaiced the buildings on either side of the property. Then he spent years sculpting multi-layer walls out of objects that he found. So in 2004, the owners of the property became aware of his artwork and decided to demolish it and tear it down, but the community didn't want to let it go. So the community banded together, formed a nonprofit, purchased the property, and Philadelphia's Magic Gardens was born. Tickets are sold in advance on their website. I highly advise you to get them in advance. No ticket sales on sale on site. Oh, this is a bathroom. Even into the bathroom, the walls are mosaiced. Even just to be able to place the mosaics all the way up within the thin, narrow space between the walls here. There's my foot for reference. That is a thin space. single mirror or window all the way through. The amount of work and dedication to create this. Fascinating place of folk art, design, and art. This is almost overwhelming just to try to grasp every aspect. Some of these names that are here, some of the pattern letters. Don't know much about his work, actually. I don't know anything about his work. But his idea of art is to express what is in his mind, his thoughts, his fantasies. Perhaps remembrances of individuals. I don't know. Don't know really what I'm looking at, but this is fascinating. A multi-floor, multi-dimensional installation, folk art of mosaics. This is just very, very interesting. This is really cool.
Isaiah Zagar's Magic Gardens are a celebration of breaking boundaries, rejecting the constraints of conventional art, of blank walls, even of formal museum spaces. Every tile and mirror feels like a defiant step toward freedom of expression. But just a few blocks away, Philadelphia tells a very different story, one of walls built specifically to confine. While Zagar's work spills outward, Eastern State Penitentiary was designed to hold everything in. Two very different kinds of walls, two very different kinds of stories.
As soon as you enter Eastern State Penitentiary, you are down in the bowels. And so as soon as you come in, you get these fancy schmancy headphones, your self-guided audio tour. You're just walking around. It does feel like you're inside of a medieval castle of some type, just with all the stone and the brick. So there's a little tower up there, but all of the armaments is really all for show, for the outside to think that this is heavily armed and very much a place for to keep people out. Inside's a different story, but it still looks pretty dank. This is cell block 1 that opened in 1829. First penitentiary, designed to instill penitence and regret amongst the guilt. was isolation, part of the design for Eastern State, but silence, 20 inches of concrete between cells, so that nobody would talk or speak. Upon their arrival in, they would be hooded, so that they wouldn't get a layout of the prison. 23 hours a day they would spend in this room, eating all of their meals, using the restroom. They would only come out maybe once every couple of weeks to bathe, or when a guard or the chaplain wanted to see them. The Eastern State Penitentiary became such an amazing attraction for European governments to come on over and to take a look at the system and to copy it and to bring it to their home countries as well. While there were debates as to how successful Eastern State was and how solitary penitentiary was in rehabilitating the prisoners, there was really no way of knowing. However, Charles Dickens said there were two sights that he'd like to see. One, the Falls at Niagara, and two, Eastern State Penitentiary. His belief was that the solitary nature of the prison cells here would be enough to drive a person insane. The Pennsylvania system finally was abandoned in 1913. They competed against the New York system. The New York system maintained silence, but the prisoners ate together, and they saw it, and they worked together in factory-type scenarios. Most of the American system was like this, while the European and Australian systems modeled after the Pennsylvania system.
Walking these cell blocks, you'll hear stories from former guards and inmates, personal accounts of what life was like behind these walls. Over time, Eastern State as a prison grew overcrowded, and isolation gave way to a more traditional and often harsher prison experience. These first-hand stories bring to life how the philosophy of Eastern State shifted and what daily life really looked like, both in solitude and in the chaos that followed.
This is the exercise yard for solitary confinement.
Of all of the inmates who have walked through the gates of Eastern State Penitentiary, its most notorious is Scarface himself, Al Capone. During his 8-month stay, the legendary gangster exploited the rampant corruption in law enforcement and the prison system of the time to secure himself some extra comforts. You'll notice the stark contrast to the cold, bare isolation cells surrounding him. Even to the point when in a prison of isolation, he even had a cellmate. His time here became one of the most talked about chapters in Eastern State's history, raising questions about influence, privilege, and justice.
It's really fascinating coming through the Eastern State Penitentiary. You could see the decrepit state of the walls, the plaster. There are many artist installations that you can check out here as part of the audio tour as well. The cell of Al Capone, known as the Park Avenue cell, and the history of prison system, prison reform, and the change in penitentiary to standard prison later on in the 20th century.
Eastern State Penitentiary may look intimidating, but it's more than just a collection of crumbling walls and old cells. It's a place where you can walk through history, hear incredible stories, and get a glimpse of how ideas about crime and punishment have changed over time. Sure, it has its eerie side, but it's also one of Philly's most fascinating must-see hidden gems. Big attractions might bring you to Philly, but it's the hidden gems that make you feel like you've really discovered something. If you're planning a trip or just looking for new places to see, do, or experience, come exploring with us. We'd love to have you along for the ride, so be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.